experience with Bismarck UCC is 36 years in the making. I came to Bismarck in 1985 to work for Governor George Sinner, and I played softball, and I was looking for a team to play with. And a friend at work said, well, there's a church league, and he went to the Baptist church, and he said, if you want to play with us, let's do that. So I joined him, didn't know about the United Church of Christ, but they were the partners with the Baptist church that year. And I wasn't going to either church. So eventually, somebody asked me on the church team, which church do you go to? And I said, well, I don't go to either one. They said, well, to play on the team, you have to go to one church or another. So that's when I was introduced to the United Church of Christ. Some of the United Church of Christ people said, well, come on over. So Marcia and I started attending in the summer of 1985. The two reflections of where I felt really loved, one involves me and one doesn't. The one that doesn't is one of the most memorable experiences here of what I think is true love from a church. A member of the church the family had twin boys, and one of those boys drowned in a tragic accident in the Heart River. And it was just a bizarre accident, should have never happened, but at the funeral, which Pastor Jim Mose conducted, they had the casket, open casket viewing in the church narthex, and the father of the son was so overcome with grief that he collapsed. Catching him was Jim Mose, who'd broken his shoulder in a bicycle accident, and he had his arm in a sling, and with his good hand he caught him as he collapsed. And I thought, that's the church. That's the church. As fragile as we are, as broken as we are, he still caught somebody as he collapsed. And I thought, whatever other image of the church there might be, I think of that one. My personal experience with being loved is also unforgettable. In May of 2011, the Missouri River was flooding. They opened all the gates to the dam, all 28 of them, and 150,000 cubic feet per second came gushing down the river. We live in the river valley, and we got the word, you're going to have to leave your house. And we worked like crazy to try and build a dike, Marcia and I and some friends, and it was to no avail. We needed to get a contractor in to build a dike to help us, and we needed to get out of the house. And within days, I was exhausted. I thought, we're going to lose the whole thing. And one morning, I got a call, and it was Kevin Nitschke. His wife worked for the city, and she said, she had told Kevin, the Patries are going to have to get out of their house. Kevin said, he called me and said, I'm coming to your houses early in the morning, and I'm bringing help. This is still moving to me to this day. We saw them come streaming into our yard. All kinds of people with trailers. The help came. It was unbelievable. And the church members were there. Jane Thompson had brought garment boxes to move our stuff in, and Jim Mose came, and he had arranged a place for us to go to that night to move out of our house, and within a day, with the help of church members and many others, we were out of the house. We finished creating the dike around the house, and the sandbags were put on top of that. So we would have 25 people working to do that. We were in despair and thought we couldn't survive it, and the church was there. One little story that wasn't a church member, I'm originally from Wells County. South of us was a family, their last name was Newmiller, who I didn't know them. I knew his dad. His name was Steve Newmiller. He called my brother Lorne, and he somehow knew the flood was going on. When we were building the dike, the issue with the dike was that Mariner Construction was bringing in the dirt and clay to build the dike, but you had to have a skid steer loader to push it into the form of the dike, and it rained. And the skid steer loaders were just skidding around, they couldn't do anything. Steve Newmiller had a payloader, a four-wheel drive, bigger implement, and he called my brother and he said, could your brother, who he didn't know, use this payloader? And he hauled it from Bowden to our yard. Now this unexpected device arrived, and my son Ben came from Fargo, and he could run the payloader. He knew how to run it, and he finished closing the dike. And now we could leave the place knowing that it wouldn't get flooded by groundwater. Several days later, Steve Newmiller came to pick up the payloader. He left his trailer there. And I had a check ready for him. I wanted to pay him $600 for the use of the payloader, which would have been extremely cheap. And he told me, did you put diesel in? I said, yeah, it's full. He said, I don't need a check. And I started crying like a child. Now, when you experience that, you experience unmitigated love and you don't know where it came from. So I think that's at the heart of what it means to be in a church that just straight loves people. And it doesn't stop with the church, and it doesn't start with the church. It's just a powerful force of nature, and I'm glad I got to experience it.